Morning, morning, morning. Hi, Minka. Welcome back. No load sharing for you this morning.
Luckily not, sir.
Yeah, it's an absolute juggle. I tell you what, and somebody said to me this morning, what's bothering you? I said, "No, nothing's bothering me. I'm just tired because I can't go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. And then also, what do you do between 8 to 10 in the evening? You try and stay awake and you're on your phone and you're whatever, and then the lights go back on again on at 10 o'clock and you go to bed at 11. I mean, seriously. I actually have gone to bed at 8 o'clock. I didn't fall asleep, but and the fact is that you finish sleeping around about 3 o'clock, half past 3 in the morning. So you do wake up having got your required hours in, but it's just a very early start to the day. So I would love load shedding to disappear. We know it's not going to, so we're going to just accept it and play around with it. I know I haven't received any emails yet from our management, but I know that on campus tomorrow the power's supposed to be out between 8 and 10:30. That's probably the first two periods and the start of the third. No, it's just the first two periods affected by that. It doesn't affect me directly. Maybe some of you. Um, okay, thank you very much. Let's for that, Jessica. Hopefully, Kia sorts a Wi-Fi issue out quite quickly. Right, let's quickly take attendance. I'm not going to obviously mark her absent because she has some challenges. Let me just see. Minka is here. Jessica's with us today. Let me just get on the right page there. Oh my goodness. Jessica's here. Andriska's here. Go to the bottom. Let's say um, I know what that means. Paige is present. Minka is present today. Tanika haven't joined us yet. So it's just Marley and Nikita Marley. There we go. And Nikita should be right at the top. Right. If anybody else joins, I'll just add you to the list later on. I'll update this list now. Um, oops, a daisy. Let's just save what we've done and we can get going. How much value did you find? Or let us see. Let's open the case study and see how much value you've received from it. I'm going to go straight to that page that deals with the case study on page 114 and 15 in your textbooks. You'll see that the first number of questions, I'm just going to highlight, I'm not going to read the entire 3 slides. It's a lot of information. I'm just going to highlight some of it. You'll see that those first couple of questions, those first 5 questions, are not really discussion questions. Those are more sort of um, question and answer type of questions where the information doesn't require you to apply it. It just basically requires you to list it. So let's quickly go through these couple of questions before we go to the next slide, which will have your applied questions on the case study. Discuss the importance of using marketing research, understanding customers. Why, why is it important to have market research? That's basically what they're asking. Anybody? Why is it important to have market research? Or do market research? What's what are we going to get from the whole exercise? Why go through all those 5 steps that they refer to in question 3? Um, we need to know what our objective is for doing this research. So what are we set out to gain? What can we? And remember, you're third years now, so you're not going to find all the answers necessarily in your textbook. This is more sort of a personal opinion. Now, if you were a marketer and somebody says to me, "Listen, I want this is a problem that we have. Um, we need to do some research to find out how we can resolve it." What other benefits are there from doing marketing research? Or is it just something that we have the time and we have the money, so let's let's do something. What would you say? Anybody? I'm not going to ask Kia because she's definitely not online yet. Anybody else who wants to volunteer? Have a go at it.
So it's to collect information about the services that customers need or require, as well as information as to, like, their needs, their satisfaction, and their loyalty levels.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly, I just want to, I'll jump back now. I'm just want to, on the receiving end, my mic is a bit low, so I vaguely heard what you said, but okay, let's jump back on that and see what we can. Can you just repeat what you said, please? As I said, because it was my sound wasn't very great this side. We'll see if it improved.
So it's to collect information
Mm-hmm.
about the services that customers require, as well as their needs, their loyalty levels, and their satisfaction.
Okay, it's 100% correct. If that question referred to, or if that question required you to apply it, it will obviously you'll apply it to a given case study and go into more depth as to why it's important to have loyal customers. Why is it important? And I think one thing from the case study specifically that I picked up is that um, during one of those quotes that their head of social media expressed, that it's very, very hard to get bad publicity reversed. If somebody has jumped onto Hello Peter or has jumped onto a platform that he complains, it's very difficult. The damage has always almost been done. So as positive as a good image and good quality service is going to impact positively on your business, the reverse is also true. So the importance lies not just in the benefits we're going to get from it, but also the problems that we can avoid. And they go hand in hand because sometimes people tend to focus too much on how can we do this better. Sometimes you don't need to do it better. Sometimes you need to do it a bit differently, and sometimes you also need to maybe for the lack of having a crystal ball to look into the future, you have to sort of pick up on trends that is evident. Sometimes there's a trend that people are complaining a lot for in a particular period, and sometimes you can also pick up on a trend that might result in you changing your strategy in the very near future. Two types of marketing research. What's the two types of marketing research that we can do, or that is most commonly done? Anybody?
Isn't it quantitative and qualitative, meneer?
It's qualitative and quantitative, yes. What does qualitative refer to? What type of research would, because it's one of the types, so what type of research would a qualitative research be?
Or what people say and think?
Yes, it deals with, and that's how I said during one of the sessions this week, differentiate between the two. Qualitative refers to quality, so you're looking at more information than just a yes/no answer from a participant. You are definitely interested in the context of their replies, and your quantitative refers to quantity, in other words, numbers. You are just looking information that you want to obtain from your research. It's just to indicate that you have so many followers and so many people like your Facebook page, and. So it's a number that you're after, and not necessarily the content of or the context um, of how good your service is or where your problems lie and what exactly those problems are. Okay, we're not going to briefly discuss the 5 steps, but I want you to just quickly name them for me. Anybody? Where do we start?
Defining the problem.
You define the problem. You identify the problem. You hear somebody say, "Oh, geez, I've been on our website, and there's quite a number of people complaining about," and then they specifically name the problem. The clever people would immediately realize that that's a red flag. They maybe discuss it, and then they realize maybe it is a common problem. It is definitely a problem that can harm us. How are we going to resolve this? Is it maybe a strategy change? Is it maybe just a slight tweak in our mission or vision? Or is it something that requires a bit more information before we can make a decision? And once you've reached that latter option, where we cannot make a decision because we haven't got all the information, that's where the research then starts. So that's where we define the problem and say, boom, we have a problem. We need more information before we can fix it. So our objective is that we're going to do proper research on it. Right, that's the first step. What's the next one? What do we do after we've identified and defined the problem?
We develop a research plan.
Yep, we can go from Cape Town to Johannesburg in a number of ways. We can get in our car and we can drive there. We can actually each a lift with one of our friends and we'll get there. We can jump onto a Greyhound bus and we can get there. We can jump on a plane, we can get there. Not a lot of people take the train, but it is an option. So there are different ways that we can get from Cape Town to Joburg. However, we need to have a plan. We need to make sure that if we have to be there by, let's say, 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, maybe we should consider flying. It's going to be easier. We're going to get there sooner. It just depends. Okay, so we have a plan. And that's exactly what the next step is in your research as well. We know what the problem is. Now we have got to design a plan. And the plan includes step 3, which is?
Data collection.
Yep. There are a few methods. We're not going to go into any detail about the different methods. I think it is definitely evident in a later question, question 5. Are we looking at the collection methods that we can use? But yes, we start gathering information. We start collecting information, and obviously there's different types of information. The next step, number 4, would be to do what?
You must formulate your findings.
Yes, we now have the information. We've collected everything. It's of no value if we just leave it right there. We need to as they say, clean up the information, just to make sure that all the information, all the forms, if it was a survey or a questionnaire, has been done correctly, if it's done electronically, that everything has been captured, and we start analyzing the information, because we want statistical data to back up the concern that we have identified as a problem in step number 1. We analyze it, we're happy, we've done everything, and the next step would be the final one, and it will be of no consequence or any benefit for us if we don't do step number 5, which is?
The report?
We now draft a report, and the report says, you know what, we've identified the problem in number 1, the research has shown that it is a problem. That's also of no value. What are we going to do about it? So the report is not just a summary of our conclusions that we've come to, that we formulated after we analyzed the data. it is also necessary to make recommendations. No point in saying we have a problem if we, okay, right, so what are we going to do about the problem? We need to make recommendations. That's a very important part of your research report. Right, question 4. Differentiate between the 3 different types of research designs. The research designs, I think you'll find research designs we find on page 100 and page 101. We've got exploratory designs. We'll get Nikita on board as well. We've got secondary data analysis, and we have what's the final one I'm looking for? My goodness. Experiences. You experience you experience surveys where you actually contact experts in a particular field. Qualitative and quantitative data collection methods. What can name a couple that we can use when we're collecting the data? What type of methods can we use to collect the information?
So sorry.
Yes.
With the previous question.
Yes.
It says the 3 types of research designs. Aren't those the exploratory research design, the causal research design, and descriptive research design?
Yes. Exploratory research, casual, and the descriptive. Yes, those are the three types. Yes, the 3 main types. And obviously,
assuming grad is gonna work next year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem at all. Collection methods. How do you get the data? Are you going to hire a plane and then drop leaflets while you are flying over the northern suburbs, or how are you going to collect the data to do your research? What methods do we use? Anybody?
So the different data collection methods that you can use is an observation, focus groups, in-depth interviews, and projective techniques.
Projective techniques, yes. Those are the main and the popular ones. That is specifically for that is specifically if you are doing a qualitative data collection. If you are using a quantitative data one, you also can use computer-administered surveys and self-administered surveys as well. Okay. So in other words, the researcher is there, and the researcher is reading the questions, and then the participants are just completing the questionnaire in reply to the question. Where self-administered one is what's mostly done electronically. You go on to the questions is WhatsApp or in form of an SMS sent to you, or an email that you respond to. Right. Now we get to the applied section of the particular case study. Identify which types of marketing research F&B engaged in to assess how well it is using its social media. What type of marketing research have F&B done? Remember, there's 2 types: qualitative and quantitative. Which one have they? Have they chosen to do their marketing research?
Very quantitative, I think.
To refresh your memory, let's go back there. There you can see from all the statistics that they've used.
Yeah, quantitative.
It is definitely a quantitative one, because it does not specifically indicate anything but amounts, numbers, percentages, 450,000 people posted on their Facebook. They were just interested in the quantities, the numbers. Therefore, it's a quantitative method that they've or type of research that they have conducted. Okay, so let's go to question 7 again, or the next one, question 7. Discuss the role that social media is playing as a research tool in enabling F&B to gain a better understanding of its customers. How big a role has social media played in their research as a research tool?
Wait till gratitude gets back.
Sorry, Andreska, I didn't pick up on that. How big a role has social media played in their research as a research tool?
Sorry, meneer, I get my speaker unmute. It is very bad. Maar luister.
Let's do it terug. Question 7, I repeat. Discuss the role that social media is playing as a research tool for F&B. All the information is in front of you in the case study.
They've been able to collect the information using social media, so like a substantial role, surely, or how in depth?
Where in your case study do you find evidence that that is the case?
Well, it says here, a huge customer service opportunity in this space is to know who you're talking to. As you engage on social media, you collect information on who your customers are. Yep.
And if what you see on the screen at the moment, you could also, from the head of social media, it was very clear that they use blogs and forums, they use micromedia like Twitter, Mixit, they use Facebook. Otherwise, they would. How would they know these Facebook posts reach more than 450,000 people? Because they're using that particular one. So yes, social media is an extremely important tool that they are using for their research. And the different formats would obviously be the 3 that I've underlined there: the micromedia, the blogs, forums, or the mainstream media. In other words, Twitter, Mixit, Facebook, Hello Peter, and online news sites, which is also very important to gather information, because then you can compare your information with your competitors. Right. Question 8. What type of insights for new services and competitors could F&B gather from communicating with their customers on social media networks? In other words, what, and that's also very important in your 3rd year, the way in which questions are structured requires you to show some insight into, do you understand what they're asking them? Well, I suppose on all levels of study. You can give the right answer, but to the wrong question, and the reverse as well. So very often that's the problem, that you don't identify the question or analyze the question correctly, and as a result of that, you're giving the wrong answer. So for question 8, what type of insights for new services and competitors could F&B gather from communicating with their customers? Of what value is this information to them? In other words, does it give them an opportunity to maybe identify new services that they can offer? I'm just going to finally, it looks as if Kia has sorted out her Wi-Fi. So question 8, if I can ask it in a different way, from the information that they've gathered by engaging through all the social media networks with their customers, have they been able to identify new opportunities or new services that they might offer? And have they been able to identify what their competitors are doing? That's basically a different way of asking the same question, question 8. Okay, so have they been able to do that?
Absolutely.
Sorry. Yes, please go.
I think they have. In the case study, then it states that APSA is only 28% or something, and then like all that information will benefit them and not APSA.
Of course, I mean it's always as we've identified. It's always important to also know what your competitors are doing. So if you are so far ahead that it actually looks as if you're trailing, it's a good thing. But I think it's also important that to keep that competitive advantage, you have to drive it even harder to make that gap between your 50%, to make that gap between your 40 to 50% and their 26 as the runners up, basically, to drive that gap to become even wider. Your average of 60% of interactions are positive. In other words, it's not just that you are getting a lot of traffic, but 60% is actually positive, which is nice to know. Like a friend of mine would say, he's a professor at UCT, and he says quite often that it's like when you get percentages, and the percentage is 60%. That's a very good percentage, but to put it in context, it means that there's 40% that you can still actually improve on. It's like going to the doctor. If the doctor has his degree in medicine that he obtained from a university, has it framed on the wall in his office, and you see, oh, geez, I mean, he did well. I mean, physiology, he got 95 for physiology, he got 75 for anatomy. I would say, oh, okay, I'm a bit concerned. What 25% of the anatomy does he not know? Maybe it's something that impacts on me. So 100% is obviously not realistic, but the fact is that it means there is room for improvement. And that's also very important, because that's not just to say, okay, right, we're doing very well in relation to our competitors, but it also means that there are still areas that we can improve. And yeah, why is the average 60%? Why is it not 70? Why is it not 80? And obviously that in itself could lead to further research, which was probably going to require some quantitative research, qualitative research, because we need to know exactly what the answers are from the customers. What the 60% that are positive, what do they find positive? The 40% that's not, how many of the 40% are actually just unsure, or how many is negative? Maybe only 10% is negative, because then we can convert the 30% maybe who are unsure to increase our 60%. So it is very important. Has there any specific opportunities? Have any opportunities come up for them from doing this research, where they identified new services that they might be able to add to what they're already offering, which is a secondary part of that same question. So we know that, yes, applying to the competitors, or apply to the competitors, the other banks, other financial institutions, they're doing well, and the research showed sufficient feedback, positive feedback, that they definitely are using social media correctly and effectively. But where else from the case study can you find evidence that maybe there's a few extra services that they want to, or that they have identified that they want to add to their bouquet of services that they offer already?
So,
Yes.
sorry, Paige, you can go.
No problem. Go, Paige.
I think it's the fact that they're using like social media profiles and allowing banking to happen on social media
Yes.
profiles. Like, yeah.
Now, and it's as I said, if you read through a case study, you'll find some of the information, and that's also what I always tell my son who's still at school, although he probably knows more than I do, and um, he loves reading. I do love reading as well, but I don't get as much time to read as I used to. But when you read a case study, for instance, it's like reading a composition at school. You read through it just to get an idea of what the story is about, and then you read with it for a second time to get a bit more insight, and then you go through the questions, and then you read through the case study again to see where in the case study a particular question, the information needed to answer the question is present. And in this case, yes, what we have on the screen there is definitely part of it, because they realized that yes, maybe maybe they could link their customer social profiles to their banking profiles. That is definitely a new service that has been identified as a result of the or that would be something that is evident in your research report. That would be one of the recommendations or suggestions that is made. Okay, question 9. List the reasons for using social media as a research tool. Why are we using social media? There are, I think we addressed, I think 3 very specific reasons why it's a very popular and useful research tool. Anybody?
So it's cost effective, and it helps identify current trends, and it helps to identify competitor actions.
Exactly. Well, the competitors we've dealt with in the previous question, it was quite clear that research that you do on the problem that you have isn't necessarily just limited to that, because you pick up a lot on what your competitors do too. It is more cost effective, and yes, the current population, the current generations, and the majority of, let's say, 18 to 60-year-olds are on some form of social media platform, and as a result of that, it is a very effective tool to use, because the younger generation, or the younger age group of that particular group, homogenic group that I've mentioned, the 18 to 16-year-olds, is definitely are definitely Gen Zs and millennials, and they want instant replies. They want to feel that, you know what, these people care, because it was instantaneous how they've reacted to, and as we speak, I'm receiving an SMS message from ABSA Instant Life, although I'm definitely not interested in taking that option, but still, it happens constantly. It happens constantly. I'm not in the market for that particular investment option that they've just sent me, and I'm not even an ABSA client. I don't even have. I don't think I've ever been an ABSA client. So the information is out there, and it's brilliant. But the 3 reasons that you've mentioned are the 3 main ones, because instantaneous response, immediate replies, quick replies, is a very good sign to the customer that although there is somebody who's just sitting in front of a screen and screening all the replies as they come in and reply immediately, it might be methodist, and it might be that we don't expect it, but it's because the expectations of the current generation, because of social media, has changed. The expectations has completely changed. 10 years ago, if you get a reply within 24 hours, you think it's a miracle. Now, if you don't get one in 24 minutes, there's something wrong with that company. Bad service. Let's go to Hello Peter. Right. The various social media research tools. I'm not going to engage in the discussion there, but let's just list a few. Let's just name a few for those who haven't been for various reasons, couldn't attend yesterday's session. I'm going to go back to that little section and just scroll through the different pages. That is available to us. LinkedIn is a very popular one, especially when you are already working, and it's because it's a sort of a more professional network that you can engage in. Twitter, Facebook, those are the most common ones that's used. And then also, if you want to lodge complaints, we can go to Hello Peter, Bad Service South Africa. Those are two ones that I've actually used myself. Hello Peter obviously is a very popular one because it's free, no charges. You can jump onto hellopeter.com and you can scroll and see if somebody else has had a bad experience with the company, and you can jump on that bandwagon. If you haven't, and it's a new one that you want to add, you just go ahead and do it. I had a couple of years ago, I had some laminated flooring done, and my domestic worker was at home that day, and she's been with us for 27 years. She's actually raised my, she raised our children, but she actually raised my wife and her brother as well when they were children. So we've come a long way. And yeah, left work, got back the afternoon. They were cutting in the driveway and making a whole lots of noise. And then my wife arrived back from work about 5 minutes after I did, and she said, "Where's my mountain bike?" And the mountain bike was stolen from the garage. And they said, "No, it's not them." I immediately closed all the doors and I started interrogating them, and I got their supervisor. Long story short, the bike's gone. Yes, it was insured, but that's not the issue. The fact is that it wasn't resolved. It wasn't. They make me feel as the guilty party. No. So I mean, I said, I was at work the whole day. You were here the whole day. So I mean, how could I get the? How's it my fault that the bike's gone? But anyway, long story short, I used Hello Peter, and I didn't get a response. I didn't get the bike back, but I got some action from them eventually, because they realized like the bad publicity is not great for their business. But yeah, I use Hello Peter quite a lot when I'm unhappy. However, it doesn't replace the fact that you could actually still resolve it by walking up to the person and confronting them and asking them to maybe come to a mutual solution. We have finished chapter 4. And again, as a result of my challenges yesterday with load shedding, I have not graded all your test, all your class tests yet. I will have it done, and we can chat, and I'll give you feedback on it when we have our next session next Tuesday. Okay, is that all right with you guys?
Yes, sir.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
And please remember, there's no classes on Monday. There's no classes on Monday, so we do not have a class next week on Monday. Don't make that mistake. Some people this morning only realized that it's a long weekend. So we've reached the end of another week. Thank you very much. Thanks for engaging in today's session. And yeah, enjoy your weekend. Take care of yourselves. Don't go out jawling with kids from schools in Paarl, because apparently their social life is quite active, and as a result, there are some positive cases recently. But no, take care of yourself. Enjoy the weekend. We all need a break, or even if you use your extra day for the same purpose I'm going to do, and that's just to catch up on work. Okay, but I will chat to you collectively as a group again next Tuesday. All good with that?
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Celebrations, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Enjoy. Thanks, Marley. Keep well. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Keep well. Bye-bye.
Bye.